Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Innovation Podcast, your source for all things innovation. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Aunik Bhattacharjee on the line, and he's Global Director of Sales Finance over at Elastic. Aunik, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adam. Glad to be here.
All right, so glad to get into today's show topic with you, the importance of being a generalist in tech. So excited to hear your take on that. But before we do that, let's get a little bit further into what you're currently doing over at Elastic. So tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Sure. Yeah, so Elastic, formerly known as Elasticsearch, the company is founded on essentially providing a distributed, open source search and analytics engine for all types of data, structured and unstructured. It's kind of built on the Lucene, first release in 2010. And since then, we've really been driving adoption with our open source community and developing those into commercial relationships globally all across the world. The beauty about open source is that, users stem from all places in the world, all different use cases, and they come together and provide applications built on top of your open source software, which then other community members can then go and build off of that as well. And so there's a really unique opportunity in this space at the moment. Obviously, data analytics is kind of a buzzword and big data, but we're kind of right in the thick of it, especially as it pertains to fast returns on queries, usability for indexing, providing orchestration for data. So it's a really interesting company. And when I joined Elastic back in 2014, and it seems like it was just yesterday. It's been a very fast 5 years, fast forward now. In 2018, the company went public. So that was a really valuable experience for me, just being a part of everything running up to that moment. And then obviously also observing how things change when a company goes public, different responsibilities, both internally and externally to other shareholders. So in my role there, as I mentioned, I'm the Global Director of Sales Finance. I specifically work with sales teams negotiating some of the larger, complex, what people would consider non-standard deals, whether it be legal concessions, financial commitments, anything really runs the gambit of a variety of items which could be considered non-standard and included on these larger deals where obviously negotiations with customers, there's a lot of back and forth and negotiating concessions building throughout those sales cycles. So my main focus is helping sales and being a supplemental resource to them and helping them construct these deals all the way from legal aspects to customer provisioning end to end, and really just kind of add value and help them accelerate their cycles.
That's awesome. So any kind of trends right now? I mean, I know you're in the thick of a lot of change. Just what you're doing open source. Any kind of trends you care to comment on that you just find super interesting?
Absolutely. Obviously, don't want to be cliche, but the move to the cloud and hosted solutions is, right at the forefront. And I think what's important to note there is the footprint of AWS within that space, obviously. Even our hosted solution is, hosted on AWS, although it is our platform and our software. But that's always important to keep in mind, especially when we talk about infrastructure costs and the prices of infrastructure. But as the cloud industry scales and more people move all their applications to the cloud. So again, not super new and interesting in that regard, but I think it's important to understand who the key players are within that space. I know Microsoft, Azure, as well as GCP are starting to at least try to gain some more market share. But if you follow the trends close enough, it's been a little bit of a struggle for GCP for a variety of reasons, as well as Azure. But those companies are coming to maturity, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Let's switch it up a bit, Aunik. I do want to get into the importance of being a generalist in tech. So what has that meant to you in your career, and why do you think it's so important?
Sure. So when I started at Elasticsearch, Elastic, I was actually just hired as a general role of, we don't have a specific role for you to do. All we need for you to do is bridge this large divide between the sales team and finance. And the company was about 200 people at that time. And so although that was my main charter, I had to pick up other things along the way, because through the course of any startup's maturity, you're going to have to engage cross-functionally because maybe they don't have an individual that's tasked solely with what that is at the time. And so you really have to dip your toes into a variety of topics. Elasticsearch is a very technical solution. And to be honest, when I joined the company, I didn't know too much about them. So I was very intimidated in the sense of, wow, how am I going to learn all this stuff? What's really valuable about a company like Elastic, and this is actually valuable for anyone out there listening to this podcast, it's good to put yourself in a situation where you can learn organically. What I mean by that is I didn't have to kind of spend time at home reading about Elastic, how different things work, and I'm trying to understand all these really minute details, right? And I found it much easier just to interact with different departments, that whether it be legal, whether it be product or PMs or marketing, finance, and sales. Being able to engage with all those different teams and not only learn what they do, but also try to understand how they go about their day-to-day, what challenges they face. And by engaging all those different departments, that is really what allows you to kind of grow into your role. And again, kind of the topic of being a generalist comes up when you engage in that manner. And I found a lot of success with that at Elastic. And when I actually look out there, I had this on my mind, can't be a new idea. There is actually a lot of content as well published, and it specifically states that being able to speak the language or learn and be competent in a variety of topics isn't as common as you think, especially in tech. I know the obvious example is that there's the sales guys and there's engineers, but there's so much else in there. And by being able to understand and speak the language of those different departments, or even on behalf of and liaise properly across your business, will really prove to be a valuable resource for whatever company or business you're a part of.
Man, I love that, and I never really thought about it that way. You're right. So, meaning if you can't talk from department to department, my background was in finance, but bridging that gap between the really high technical analyst and the advisor to the client to being able to just speak the language, the glue that holds everybody together. That's exactly what you're doing.
Right. Exactly. And honestly, it's proven not only beneficial for the company that I'm at, but it's beneficial for me. I mentioned always learning, always kind of increasing my repertoire, so to speak, of topics and knowledge.
Man, that's awesome. So Aunik, if somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more about Elastic or to connect, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always happy to connect on LinkedIn. Just my first name, Aunik, last name, Bhattacharjee. You'll find me. And for more information on Elastic, if you want the finances, obviously you can go on Yahoo and look at our stock. If you're interested in just the company in general, you can visit us at elastic.co.
Perfect. Well, hey, Aunik, awesome having you on the show today and covering, what it means to be a generalist, but also taking us through your journey in tech and innovation. So really appreciate you sharing that story with us. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you learned a lot. Hope you had fun listening. We had fun making it for you. If you did, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Innovation, then don't forget to give that a subscribe, but also go to the comment section and love to engage with you there. Let us know what you thought and take it to the YouTube community. And Aunik, thanks again for coming on the show.